So we also have a reverse fault. So reverse fault is when the plates come together. And as they come together, they have that like center bit of land that gets pushed up. And this pushing up of the land is what causes folded mountains. These are the biggest mountain ranges we see, like Mount Everest is part of a folded mountain range. As plates come together, mountains just keep getting pushed up and pushed up and pushed up, and they start to fold over on themselves, and we get like a bunch of mountains in a big mountain range. So you can see that with a faint line, I tried to draw a bit of a folded mountain. So we also get earthquakes, as well as magma plumes. So as these plates come together, they heat up on the bottom of the plates, heat up, and this can cause magma plumes to kind of push through, and you get hot molten rock gets pushed up onto the surface. The last fault that we're talking about is the slip strike fault. So instead of plates coming together or coming apart, these two plates slip by each other. And here, we also get earthquakes, although these earthquakes tend not to be too powerful, but if the plates have a lot of pressure between them, they can kind of slip, and as they have that big slip, you get an earthquake that's a bit more powerful than normal. If the plates are constantly moving, you don't really get too many big earthquakes. It's just when the pressure builds up and they don't move, and then all of a sudden, then they move, is when you get the big earthquakes. So the land on either side of this fault line is going to look almost like a scrunchie. So it's going to get scrunched up as the land that's touching is going to move slower than the land that's on the outside. It's going to move a bit faster. Okay, so if we flip over the page, the last thing we're going to look at is a continental versus oceanic plate collision. So here, because the continental plates are less dense than the oceanic plates, they're just trying to float on top of that oceanic plate. So the oceanic plate collides with the continental plate, it gets pushed down, and as it gets pushed down, the bottom of the plate starts to get recycled. So it starts to melt into the mantle. So this is why these plates are pretty new, because they're constantly getting melted and reformed. What we call this process when the oceanic plate gets pushed down, we call this a subduction zone. So this is what we live on today. We live on a subduction zone. As the oceanic plate gets melted on the bottom, the heat causes volcanic activity to occur just below the continental plate. And this can help raise mountains up. So mountains already get raised up because the plates are colliding. Volcanic activity is also going to raise even more mountains up and cause volcanoes. So Mount Baker would be a good example of a volcano caused by heat from these oceanic plates getting recycled. As the oceanic plate moves, the other side of the plate that's not in collision is going to start to reform because it's moving away from whatever it's touching. So it's going to start to reform as the mantle cools. So this is what we mean by the plates getting recycled. On one side, they melt. On the other side, they reform. Oh, sorry, my thing went on for a second. Let's just cut that out at 10:10. So looking back at the subduction zone, when the continental plate pushes down the oceanic plate, there can be a bunch of pressure. And just like we have with a slip strike fault, the pressure can build up and they can't move, and then all of a sudden it will release. And as they release, you get a lot of movement very quickly. This will cause, like, the biggest earthquakes we see on Earth are caused in subduction zones because the pressure builds up, they don't move, and then all of a sudden they move a ton. So this is what we're waiting for with our big earthquake, is we have a ton of pressure building and building and building, and eventually we're going to get a big earthquake. We don't know when. We can't really predict that yet, but we know that it will come at some point. So this is happening where we live, right under our feet, constantly. So that's all I had today for the video. So hopefully, I'm thinking we're going to break this up into 2 parts. We'll see. I guess you'll know before I do. Yeah. Have a good rest of the day.